You know what the loneliest, coldest, and most cutting feeling in the United States is in January? It's not the cold that comes from outside, from blizzards or wind. It's the cold that comes from within. It's that exact moment in the early hours of dawn when you sit at the kitchen table in absolute silence, look at a pile of digital bills, and realize that the successful man you presented to the family at Christmas, that generous character who bought gifts for everyone, was just a ghost. A mirage. A ghost financed at 24% annual interest on credit cards. I see that look of defeat everywhere, from Austin to Boston, from Seattle to Miami. It's a glazed, exhausted look. People aren't just broke. The condition is much more serious. They're without sovereignty. They fed the persona, the social mask, until it became obese, swollen with vanity, while the real self, who they really are when the lights go out, withered in the dark, malnourished and frightened. If you're broke today, feeling that knot in your stomach that won't untie, I have news that will scare you, but it's necessary. This isn't an accident. This is exactly what the system planned for you. Your fragility is Wall Street's most profitable asset. Your insecurity is the fuel of the consumer economy. But I'm Buck, and I'm here to teach you how to cheat this rigged game. We're not going to talk about superficial money-saving tips. I'm going to show you the visceral, almost surgical attitudes that transform a January survivor into an architect of their own freedom. The year only truly begins the minute you decide to stop asking permission to exist. The first thing you need to understand, and that no lifestyle influencer on Instagram will tell you, is that you're not broke due to bad luck or because the market is tough. You're like this because your brain has been hijacked. There's a concept in behavioral psychology called the cognitive cost of poverty. Pay attention. Scarcity doesn't just affect your bank account, it drains your mental capacity. When you start the year in the red, worried if your card will go through at the store, your effective IQ drops. Literally. Studies show a drop of up to 13 points. You become biologically less intelligent. Why does this happen? Because your amygdala, the fear center in the brain, is screaming in survival mode, hijacking the blood flow that should go to your frontal lobe where you do logical planning. You live in a scarcity tunnel, focused only on putting out today's fire, unable to see the emergency exit 10 meters away. Observe the typical behavior of someone who's broke. The person enters a cycle of analysis paralysis, or worse, compensatory spending. Since they feel bad, humiliated, and small for being in debt, they spend $20 on lunch out, or $50 on a useless gadget, just to feel a milligram of dopamine and forget the pain of reality for an hour. It's a pathological defense mechanism. It's like trying to put out a fire by throwing gasoline, hoping the liquid will smother the flames. The American financial system is designed with the precision of a Swiss watch, so you never leave this fight or flight mode. They want you to pay the minimum on your bill. The minimum payment button is always the most visible, the most colorful. They want compound interest to keep you working for banks until you're 70. You become a modern, indentured servant. Therefore, to end the year better, your first attitude isn't to earn more. If you earn more with a broken mind, you'll just spend more. The first attitude is to regain possession of your attention. You need to look at your debt not as a scary monster living under the bed, but as a logical opponent, a mathematical puzzle you'll dissect coldly. Being broke is a temporary condition, a transitional state of your numbers. Having a broke mentality is a life sentence. If you want to end the year differently, your number one priority from this second on, above any momentary pleasure, is to build what I call the $1,000 dignity wall. I know what you're going to say. In the current cost of living in cities like Phoenix, Charlotte, or Atlanta, $1,000 seems like little, like pocket change. But psychologically, $1,000 is the difference between being a slave and being a dissident. Why this specific amount? Because $1,000 covers the average domestic emergencies that destroy the planning of a common American family. the tire that blows on the highway, the tooth that needs a root canal on a Tuesday afternoon, the insurance deductible when someone hits your bumper. Without this wall, any unexpected event, and unexpected events always happen, throws you back to the credit card. And then the slavery cycle starts again. The dignity wall is what prevents an accident from becoming a financial tragedy. Having $1,000 saved in an untouchable account is a brutal exercise of willpower. Jung said that he who looks outside dreams, he who looks inside awakens. By accumulating these first $1,000, you awaken. You prove to yourself biologically that you're capable of governing your primitive consumption impulses. The attitude here needs to be radical. Cut everything. Cancel the streaming you use as background noise. Cancel the gym you pay for to feel fitness, but never attend. Stop eating out. Cook eggs. You'll live like a Spartan, like a warrior monk, until you have this wall built. This money isn't for investing in crypto. It's not for putting in the stock market hoping to get rich. This money is to buy your right to breathe without panic. It's the price of your sanity. To advance beyond this wall, you need to face a bitter truth. Much of the money you don't have today was spent to sustain a person you don't even like. I call this the ego tax. The pressure to keep up appearances is the main driver of silent bankruptcy in the middle class. You bought that car financed over 72 months, not because you needed transportation, but for the status of the emblem. You bought the iPhone Pro Max not for the technology, but so you wouldn't be the green bubble in friends' chats. You frequent that club just so your persona, your social mask, doesn't look inferior to others. Do today, now, a persona audit. Look at your bank statement from the last 90 days with the coldness of a medical examiner examining a body. Without emotion, just facts. How many of those transactions were to feed your future, your security, your health? And how many were to feed your neighbors, co-workers, or internet strangers' opinions? Every dollar you spend to look rich while you're broke is another nail in the coffin of your freedom. It's an act of betrayal against your own future. The sovereign attitude is detachment, aggressive detachment. If you need to sell something you can't afford, sell it. If you need to return the car, return it. If you need to cancel the escapes from reality, cancel them. Buck guarantees you there's nothing, absolutely nothing, more luxurious than the peace of putting your head on the pillow and knowing you owe nothing to anyone. True status isn't in the garage, but in the calm you feel when the lights go out and your territory is protected. You've probably heard the classic advice to pay yourself first. But when credit card interest is at 25% and electric bills are overdue, that seems like a bad joke, right? But listen to Buck. It's not about the mathematical value. It's about the power ritual. When you receive your paycheck and the first thing you do is distribute the money to the electric company, rent, and the bank, leaving zero for you, you're sending a powerful and destructive message to your unconscious. I'm last in line in my own life. I work for everyone except myself. Even if you're stuck in the mud, separate $10 today. 10. It doesn't matter if the world is collapsing outside. These $10 are sacred. They're the tithe of your future sovereignty. Put them in a separate account. By doing this, you break the victim mentality. You tell your brain, I command this flow. In the American context, debt is used as a tool of social control. They want you to feel small, ashamed, docile. But when you resume the habit of accumulating, even if it's the value of a bad coffee per week, you tell the system you've recovered your will. You face creditors with a plan, not with a tattered excuse. Financial sovereignty doesn't start with $1 million in the account. It starts with the first $10 you decided by pure willpower belong to your future and not to anyone's past. Being broke in January is often the result of months of voluntary blindness. You stopped looking at the numbers because the numbers hurt. You deleted the bank app so you wouldn't see the balance falling, but sunlight is the best disinfectant. To be the architect of your life, you need to institute the weekly governance ritual. Every Sunday night, reserve 30 minutes. Sit with your numbers, no distractions, no music, no Netflix in the background, just you in raw reality. In this ritual, don't just look at the final balance. Observe the behavior, track the patterns. Why did I spend $20 more on Tuesday? Was it real hunger? Or was it tiredness? Was it work stress? The wise observer, this new consciousness we're creating, doesn't judge itself, doesn't whip itself. It analyzes. It maps emotional triggers. The modern system wants to be frictionless. Apple Pay, Face ID, contactless cards. Buy with one click. They want money to leave your hand without your brain registering the pain of loss. The governance ritual returns the necessary friction. It forces you to feel the weight of each decision. You retake the wheel. The year doesn't improve by luck or magic. It improves because you became the CEO of your own life, firing the incompetent manager you were last year. When you finally surpass the barrier of the first 1,000 and start marching toward $10,000, something profound changes in your physical and chemical posture. The man or woman who has 10,000 liquid dollars in the bank doesn't walk with the same weight on their shoulders as someone who's one step from bankruptcy. Breathing changes. Tone of voice changes. This is the sovereignty inflection point. $10,000 doesn't make you rich in Wall Street's eyes. For them, that's a rounding error. But for you, it buys something no money can replace. Time to think without survival panic screaming in your ear. This is where you stop being a firefighter, running from side to side, putting out rent and bill fires with a glass of water, and become an architect with construction plans in hand, looking at the horizon. The $10,000 milestone acts as a medieval defense moat around your castle. If the company makes layoffs, you don't feel that paralyzing cold down your spine that makes you sweat cold at night. You look at the market with the calm of someone who has months of life paid for. This gives you the unfair advantage of saying no. No to abusive, unpaid overtime. No to projects that drain your soul. No to toxic bosses. Money at this level is condensed freedom. But maximum attention here, the gravity between 1,000 and 10,000 is the heaviest in your financial life. It's the danger zone. The inertia of the habit of being poor will try to pull you back with iron claws. Your ego will whisper, "You worked so hard, you deserve a luxury now. Change cars, take that trip." Resisting this siren song is what forges the character of a ruler. At this stage, you must fight against lifestyle creep. The system will offer you new credit as soon as it realizes you have surplus. The bank will increase your limit. The intelligent architect keeps the cost of living artificially low and uses the surplus to strengthen the wall. Your victory isn't living in a bigger house now. The victory is knowing you'll have the freedom to buy it in the future, cash, or with terms you dictate if you want. Being broke for a long time generates a real biological wound. Chronic scarcity reprograms your amygdala to react to everything as a death threat. The next step is the biology of recovery, teaching your body cell by cell that the war is over. You need to heal your distorted relationship with money. Stop using impulsive purchases as self-medication for anxiety. The wise observer must block these impulses with conscious firmness. Also beware of phantom debt, that feeling of continuing to feel poor and insecure even with money in the bank, which can turn you into a greedy and anxious hoarder. Create small peace budgets to reaffirm your new reality. Complete biological recovery occurs when money stops being a source of fear, lack, or ecstasy, spending, and becomes just a neutral tool like the oxygen you breathe or the electricity in the wall. Useful, vital, but without drama. As the year progresses and you stabilize, you'll notice an interesting phenomenon. You'll recover that cognitive bandwidth that was hijacked by poverty. Your memory improves. Your focus increases. You sleep better. Use this surplus mental energy to invest in the only thing no one can tax or steal, your brain. One of the biggest challenges for those who decide to get out of financial mud are the weekend saboteurs. Those people Longtime friends, cousins, colleagues, who, although they like you, secretly hate the change you're implementing. They invite you to spend not out of generosity, but to pull you back to the group's comfortable mediocrity. To end the year sovereign, install a rigorous social filter. Jung spoke of herd mentality. When you say no to the group's impulsive spending, you point an unwanted mirror at their financial irresponsibility. This bothers them. They'll try to ridicule you, calling you cheap, boring, or obsessed. Understand, not all friendships are compatible with your quest for sovereignty. Learn to say no with firm elegance. Use short phrases like, "That's not in my priorities right now." Don't justify yourself. Silence is a tool of power. By doing this, you filter people who respect you from those who just want a debt partner to validate their own mistakes. Remember the metaphor of crabs in a bucket. If one tries to climb and escape, the others pull it down. Identify who the crabs are in your life and maintain strategic distance. Don't try to convince anyone. Change is a solitary process, and stop comparing yourself to others' personas. The neighbor with the new Ford F-150 might be weeks away from eviction or divorce due to financial stress. Your success metric is internal, the growth of your net worth and the decrease of your cortisol. At the end of this painful filtering, you'll open space to attract the sovereign circle. People who talk about strategy, books, investments, and purpose, accelerating your growth through osmosis. While you clean up your financial life, understand that money is just the byproduct of the value you deliver to the market. I call this the skills vault. If you started the year broke, it's likely your income source is fragile or easily replaceable. The radical attitude is to invest in your ability to solve complex problems. Develop high-income skills. In the US, staying stagnant is accepting a decline programmed by inflation. Dedicate 1 hour per day, that hour you spent on TikTok, to improving your craft or mastering new AI tools, negotiation, sales, or management. The goal isn't just to be a good employee, but to become an indispensable asset the market can't ignore. True security doesn't come from the job, which can be taken from you tomorrow. It comes from the internal certainty that if you lose everything today, you possess the mental and technical tools to rebuild your empire tomorrow. Now, I want you to do a visualization exercise. Close your eyes for a second. Imagine that January's dirty snow has melted, spring flowers came and went, summer heat passed, and we're again in December 2026's twilight. You're sitting in the same place at the same kitchen table, but the person occupying the chair is completely different. The posture is erect, breathing is deep. You open the bank app and don't see alarming red. You see the solid glow of wealth that grew month by month. That paralyzing anxiety, that internal cold, was replaced by a deep calm, the oceanic calm of someone who knows their territory is secure. Your December self looks back through time to your January self. You, now, with immense gratitude. Gratitude for the sacrifice made, gratitude for the no's said, gratitude for the courage to face the ghost. This journey was a rite of passage to your real maturity. You proved you govern your impulses, defeated the shadow of scarcity, and said no to a system that wanted you docile and indebted. The $1,000 wall became a 10,000 fortress, and your biology healed from trauma. You're no longer a passenger, you're the ship's captain. Remember each no said to saboteurs and each hour of solitary study at dawn. These were the bricks of your new reality. You learned to be a ghost in the system, not the weak ghost of the past, but an invisible operator protecting your wealth and peace. You ended the year better not by luck, not by winning the lottery, but by irrevocable decision and daily execution. Buck observes the world and knows. Most people will arrive in December exactly as they started, or worse. More tired, more indebted, and full of new excuses for old problems. But you chose the observer's path. Feel the weight of this victory now, even before it happens. The accumulated money is just the external symbol of an absolute internal order you established. This script isn't just a video, it's your sovereignty contract for 2026. Don't let the excitement evaporate as soon as you close this screen. Transform this feeling, this productive anger, into an unbreakable habit. The path to freedom is long, steep, and lonely, but the reward of being master of your destiny compensates for every drop of sweat and every sacrifice. Buck guarantees you there's no greater human satisfaction than fulfilling your mission and protecting your own. Your better year starts now with your first governance attitude. Separate the $10. Do the audit. Face the ghost. Stay calm in storms, for now you have the anchor of capital and the rudder of wisdom. Keep the secret. Protect dignity. Buck will be here, watching. The power was always in your hands. You just needed to wake up to use it. 2026 will be the year the slave died so the sovereign could be born. See you in the next chapter.